In my Samsung Galaxy buying guide video that I've released a couple of days ago, I mentioned that the Galaxy S25 Ultra may not be the best option depending on your needs. Yes, I mentioned that the S24 Ultra was an option, and even the S23 Ultra could still be great options as well from a value for money perspective. But we also have this beauty here, the Galaxy S25 Plus. These are just my first impressions, but like I always do, I will be taking this for a proper spin tomorrow. Actually, I'm really excited about this. I'm going on a boat ride on the Thames tomorrow in London, and that'll be a perfect opportunity to really test the S25 Plus, the cameras, everything that, including the battery tests and things like that. But having spent a week or so now with this phone, I do have some thoughts for you. From a design perspective, it got there first, right? This was already the Samsung design for the last couple of years. The S24 Plus had already this squared off design here, and it's very much the same as last year from a design perspective. From a camera perspective, we don't have the optical 5x zoom that I do enjoy on the S25 Ultra, and I do personally like the not for the zoom so much on the S25 Ultra, but the quality of the images itself for portraits and regular photos. Just using that lens, I think it makes things look better. Honestly, I actually missed the S23 Ultra with the 10x zoom for that same reason, not for the zoom, but just the quality of the image. Sometimes it's nice to step back a little bit and just use that lens for regular shots. Now, in my quick tests here though, the digital zoom using the 3x lens is not that far off. It's actually excellent. And for really detailed shots, you can of course get that 50 megapixel shot here on the main lens, which is great as well. When it comes to video, this is probably where Samsung, at least for me, has done the major upgrades in here. I don't know what they've done exactly, but I just did a quick test for Instagram stories. And again, I was super impressed by the quality here, even on the selfie camera. Check this out. Well, this is just in a studio environment, but I'm not using any of my professional lights. Just showing you here how it behaves in changing lights from a shady area to right next to the window here. Yeah, and just so you can see the audio, so you can hear the audio as well, and a little bit of movement as well. I mean, I'm pretty happy with this. Obviously, it's not gonna be as high quality as the S25 Ultra camera, but it's behaving really well in terms of skin tone and things like that. That's winter time, and I look very pale. So yeah, it's pretty accurate. I can be accused sometimes of being maybe too excited about shiny new toys, and I don't know if I'm in some sort of honeymoon right now, but this video quality on Samsung phones this year, not just on the Plus, but on the Ultra too, whatever they've done, it's seriously making me consider just not having an iPhone at all. As a creator, I need an iPhone because it's good to compare. A lot of your questions are, is it better than the iPhone? And a lot of my videos will be comparing with it. But every year, in the last 4 or 5 years, I kept an iPhone mostly for that video quality, for 4K clips. Sometimes I'm out and I forget to record something with my main camera, and I'll use the iPhone, I'll reach for the iPhone because of video quality. I honestly don't think I'll be needing that this year. Now, when it comes to performance, of course, Snapdragon Elite, all those great benchmark numbers that I could throw here, but in real terms, the S25 Plus, like the S24 Plus to be fair, has been able to cope with everything I threw from the dreaded Genshin Impact test, which is usually, after an hour is what makes phone like melt. But honestly, the last phone that I actually saw struggle with that game was the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So quite a few years ago. Since then, not a single phone, I mean, some of them did overheat slightly, but none of them actually struggle with it. The S25 Plus has some great multitasking features as well. And I think it's interesting because, this year is the first year that I actually reviewed other brands, like not just Google, Samsung and Apple, but I looked at Honor and OnePlus, for example, and they do have good Android features like multitasking. But I think One UI not only feels more polished because obviously it's been around for longer, it actually has richer options as well when it comes to multitasking in general. More on that in just a moment when we talk about software features, but it doesn't seem to get too hot under pressure, and it's early days, but the battery seems pretty solid as well. Like its big brother, the S25 Ultra this year, feels like a decent, back to Samsung old form for me. But I'll reserve judgment tomorrow. Tomorrow is like one of those days where I'll be using this from the time I wake up throughout the whole day, using navigation, work calls. I'm gonna be really pushing the cameras with raw images, 4K 60 clips. After tomorrow, I should be able to give you a proper review of the battery. But for now, the short soundbite for now is early impressions. It looks good. Now the display, we gotta give it to Samsung, right? When it comes to displays, they're just excellent. Do I wish we had this you know, the amazing anti-reflective coating that we've got on the S25 Ultra? Absolutely. In fact, I think all phones and all tablets, at least from Samsung, should have that coating now. It's just an awesome thing to have on the display. But the S25 Plus is no slouch, you know, very vibrant colors, and watching content on this feels great too, you know, minimal distractions, very thin bezels here, very immersive display considering, you know, it's a smaller size, still great to watch things on it. One of the first things I do though on any Samsung device is to turn down the greens and blues a little bit. And this year, it's an interesting thing, you know, I actually like that they added a vivid option, and you know, there's a slider as well. I think that was as a result of the anti-reflective coating on the S24 Ultra last year. But I'm finding that for the first time since the S21 Ultra, I don't need to reduce the greens and blues as much as I used to. That's my preference, of course, but I think color in general with Samsung this year feels like they've reached a point of, you know, maturity and, I don't know, more refined. So yes, it's still a bit too rich for me, but I don't need to turn down as much as I used to. Yes, the infamous shutter lag on the camera is still there. Yes, they removed the S Pen on the Ultra. But as I showed in my recent reviews, especially that shutter lag thing, doesn't seem to be a Samsung exclusive problem. I like to point out problems when I see them, but I also like to be fair regardless of the brand. Some brands like Honor, for example, they tried to come up with clever camera modes and, you know, to really combat this problem. And I think Samsung should as well, to be honest. They should have a mode in here for parents. I don't know what would you call it, like parent mode or kids mode or whatever, where you're in low light situation and you want to take a quick photo of something. You know, of course, the bottom line is you can go into pro mode and expert raw and fiddle with the aperture and shutter speed and get that perfect shot. Absolutely possible. And that's where you're going to see the power of Snapdragon and Samsung come together. But when you're just trying to take a quick snap of your kids and pets, you know, you're not going to want to, hang on, stop what you're doing, freeze. Like, give me 45 seconds while I press the pro mode here and try to figure out the shutter speed. You're not going to be doing that. Yes, you can use the slider to do like a burst mode photo. You can use even single take, which is probably the best middle ground for me. But I think there should be something like single take, but for kids and pets. And, you know, I don't care about all the GIFs and things that single take generates. Just give me something that freezes one frame of that the last 15, 20 seconds that I took. That I think would put an end to this shutter lag problem. The S25 Plus comes with all the software features that you see on the Ultra, and a little bit like the anti-reflective display, the other most noted absence is the S Pen. But you do get all the other goodies, including Samsung DeX, which I think is awesome. Samsung, I hope that you don't do this, please. I don't care if it's less than 1% using this DeX feature. I'm one of them. And I actually love it, and I do use it mostly, nearly dropped it, mostly on my Tab S10 Ultra at the moment, to be fair, but I've used it when I'm traveling in hotel rooms, for example, to get a fully fledged PC experience. Okay, maybe not fully fledged, but a PC-like experience whilst you're on the road, or, you know, in a place where, you know, you want to extend that monitor. Is fantastic. One UI 7 at the end of the day has come with a lot of AI features, and Samsung, let's all calm down a little bit. When it comes to pushing AI just because it's the new buzzword, I think we've all had enough, you know. But what you are doing here, Samsung, is great. Why am I talking to Samsung? No, I'm talking to you. What I think Samsung did here is great. But if we think about AI, just like, you know, if we call it assistant features like we used to, they are awesome on the Galaxy phones now. I'm still on the fence about that integration between Bixby and Gemini. Feels a little bit clunky. The Now Brief, or the Now Bar, is surprisingly useful, at least for me, much better than the Dynamic Island on the iPhone. And it will get better with time, clearly, but I think right now it needs to move quickly into like the next evolution, because I just needed to be more contextually aware. I thought in my initial review of the S25 Ultra that it was amazing that it realized that I went for a run the day before and it was recommending me better times to run the next day to avoid wet weather. But I noticed that that's becoming a bit too repetitive now. It's like, I'm doing other things, you know? So maybe it needs to integrate with third-party apps as well to be more contextually aware. I'd love that. I do like the calendar integration, I do like the weather integration, but okay, you know, we kind of seen that before. Samsung are clearly being very aggressive this year as well with the S25 Ultra deals, but the S25 Plus is no different. Right now, depending on where you live, you might still be able to get some crazy deals that it's almost like they're paying you rather than the other way around. If you already got a decent deal, let me know in the comments as well. I love hearing about those. Some people like, it ended up being cheaper to upgrade than to keep the current phone. The majority of you as well have told me that you like this aspect ratio here. I'm listening to you, my customer, and I will keep doing this for as long as I can. You know, the reason I'm saying this is because, and this is where I need your help, is because YouTube still thinks a 16:9, which is a shorter aspect ratio, is the right thing to do. And I don't know, 85% of smartphones sold right now have a much taller or wider aspect ratio, depending on how you're holding your phone. The bad news for me as a creator is that I lose the ability to show you or recommend you my next videos to watch at the end. YouTube removes that option for me. And this is where you come in. Please share this video with a friend, someone on your WhatsApp group or whatever, someone who likes gadgets. And if you enjoy this video, leave a like as well. If you didn't, just let me know why. And I'm always looking to improve. As I always say, I'm not some Mr. Know-it-all here. I'm passionate about tech gadgets, and I love sharing my experience here with you. See you soon.